Hello Julius, welcome back to YGOPro. This time, I'm happy to show you the playmat that I got for winning my OTS Championship. In this tournament, there were a total of 39 people. We played 6 Swiss rounds and then there was a top 8 cut, where I had to play another 3 rounds to get the first place. So in this video, I'm going to show you the deck that I use in the event. But that's not all. If you have been following my channel, you surely know by now that I like numbers. So in this video, I'm also going to talk a little about the probabilities of the basic combos of this deck, which I got from an experiment where I simulated 200,000 hands, from where I took 5 random cards each time. So without further ado, let's go! As you can see by the title and the thumbnail of the video, I played a Scareclaw Adventure deck. Here, I decided to include all of the Scareclaw, that is 3 Scarecrow Leichhardt, 3 Acros, 3 Astras and 3 Belong. The reason why you need to max out all of them is because you need to see at least one of them in your opening hand to do your basic combo and reach your most powerful monster in the deck, which is Scarecrow Leichhardt. In my deck, with 40 cards and 12 Scarecrows, I got a probability of 85.14% chances of opening at least one of them. This almost guarantees me to get my most powerful monster every time. Sure, it's better when you open with one of the dogs because that way you have a follow-up play on the next turn. Following with the Scarecrow cards, I have 2 Primitive Planet Rhyphobias, 3 Scarecrow Arrivals, 1 Scarecrow Straddle and 1 Scarecrow Splash. You only need 2 of the fields because any one of your monsters can help you to get one of them. But the one you need 3 of them is Scarecrow Arrival, because if your normal summon gets interrupted, then at least you have a way to continue your plays. Only 1 Scarecrow Straddle is needed because you are going to search for it whenever you need to do the OTK. And finally, I decided to include 1 Scarecrow Splash because my intention with this deck is to go first every time that I can. Then I also included an adventure token engine with 3 Water Enchantress of the Temple, so I can search for the Rite of Aramesir, 1 Faithful Adventure, 1 Dracovac the Rideable Dragon to get rid of annoying monsters, 1 Wandering Griffon Rider to protect you from the disruptions of the opponent, and finally 1 Illegal Knight, which I found that it has a really powerful effect and also very unpredictable. This is especially good when you go first against a back row deck, because you just let your opponent to set all of the cards during the main phase. Then you activate the Illegal Knight to summon him, and during the end phase you activate the second effect to give him to the opponent and get rid of 2 of the set cards. He won't be able to set them again because he is already at the end phase. Something that I like about this engine is that it can help you to go first and also to play when going second. Also, 1 Water Enchantress of the Temple or 1 Rite of Aramesir can also be used as 2 bodies to link summon Scarecrow Leichhardt. Now, in my experiment, I got a probability of 58.36% to see at least 1 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Rite of Aramesir, or the combination of Faithful Adventure with Wandering Griffon Rider, because this way you can start your turn with 1 protection against the disruptions of the opponent, and then you can continue with your Scarecrow combo. I must say that all of the cards that I have shown you up to this point were in my deck during all of the tournament except for Scarecrow Splash and Illegal Knight, which sometimes I side deck them out for something else, especially when going second. One more thing to say is that if I combine the results of drawing my Scarecrow combo with my adventure combo, then I get a probability of 47.40%. of opening at least one Scareclaw with a protection from the adventure engine, which is not too bad, I think. The next set of cards are the disruption and protection cards. For example, Call by the Grave to defend you against hand traps, Super Polymerization to break some boards because it is really powerful this format. Then I also included one Forbidden Droplet that I changed at the last minute for a copy of Infinite Impermanence that I used to have in my deck. If I had had another copy of Forbidden Droplet, I would have also swapped the second Infinite Impermanence. And finally, a pair of TD Crows and a pair of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. They are really good when you play against Tournament, and they are really good when you play against Sprite. But sometimes you need to side deck them out, especially when you play against decks such as Flawandereeze or Eldritch. In that case, you take your Ogres and maybe your Crows, depending on the match, for something else. And finally, to complete this 40 card deck, there is a pair of Parallel Exit. They are not essential in your strategy, but they can be very helpful to help you reach monsters such as Abyss Dweller or Babushka. I've seen some profiles where people include a set of small worlds to access their Parallel Exit engine or maybe even their adventure engine. And sure, this can make the deck more consistent, but I don't think that is needed because that takes some space from the breakboard cards. Following up, I have two sets of Scarecrow Leichhardt with Scarecrow Leichhardt. Very often you can win the duel just by summoning these two monsters. And that's great because then you have a lot of space in your extra deck. However, it is really good to include a second set of Leichhardt and Leichhardt in case your opponent manages to get rid of one of them. In some occasions, a third set or a third copy of any one of them can be useful, but I think most of the times just two of them are good enough. The rest of the Link monsters are Link Spider because you need to turn your adventure token into an effect monster sometimes in order to summon your Scarecrow Leichhardt. Then a generic Link 2 monster such as Track Black. This allows you to open some space in your monster zone and also do a follow-up play with Parallel Exit in case your main combo gets interrupted. Also, in case you cannot complete your OTK, you can at least apply the effect of Track Black to get some hand advantage. I have one Dark Charmer because sometimes you need to get rid of a negated Scarecrow Leichhardt and maybe special summon a monster of your opponent so you can continue with your Leichhardt. And finally, I have an Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, but to be honest, I have never summoned her and most probably I'll take her away from the extra deck in the near future. The exist monsters that I have in my side deck are number 75, which can sometimes be useful to negate an opponent's monster effect, and you can summon him with your Scarecrow monsters and also with your Water Enchantress of the Temple. I have one Virtual World Shell because it can help you to get rid of monsters with protection. Then there is an Abyss Dweller, really powerful against Tournament. One Babushka because sometimes just drawing one Scarecrow monster with your Parallel Exit can be good enough to stop your opponent for the whole turn. And one Divine Arsenal Zeus Sky Thunder. Of these monsters, Virtual World Shell and Divine Arsenal Zeus are the ones that I almost never summon, so probably you can swap them away from some other monsters if you want. And the last two monsters of the extra deck are a Mud Dragon of the Swamp and a Garuda Wings of Resonant Life, because they are the most generic targets for your Super Polymerization. Now for my side deck, I have a set of cards against back row decks. That's why I use one Harpy's Feather Duster, two Lightning Storm, two Evenly Matched, and one Retribute, which is the only card that I won't be able to use anymore after the new ban list. There's a pair of Dark Ruler Gnome against decks that can leave multiple monster negates such as Sprite. Here's the Infinite Impermanence that I swapped in the last minute for my Forbidden Droplet. Then there's a pair of Book of Eclipse which can be useful in multiple situations. You can use it when you go second to break some boards, but I think it shines the most as a disruption when you go first. And then there's also a pair of Silent Graveyards which are extremely powerful against Tear Lament decks. Now the last two cards can be very useful in a variety of situations, and they are Dino Rooster Pankratops and Alpha the Masters of the Beast. They can be bodies for your Scarecrow Leichhardt, they can get rid of powerful monsters, and they can even destroy Baccarat as well. Now the only reason why I don't include them in the main deck is because they are not useful when you go first. Other cards in your main deck such as Ghost Ogre or TT Crow, although they cannot contribute to your combos during your first turn, at least they are already in your hand to be useful as a disruption. Something that Pankratops and Alpha cannot do by themselves. That's the only reason why I don't include them in the main deck. But if you prefer a going second style, sure, why not to include them in the main deck then. And that's all for the deck. If you have any question about the cards that I use or want to know a little more about them, feel free to leave your comment in the box below. Also, if you want to expand your knowledge about probabilities for Yu-Gi-Oh!, you can check the other videos that I have in my channel where I have some tutorials about how to calculate some probabilities, and you can also read my book Probability and Programming to Excel at Yu-Gi-Oh!, which you can find available at Amazon. I'll leave you the link in the description. Here I explain you how to automate your process to calculate probabilities and design more consistent strategies. You don't need to be an expert about math or about programming because I explain you everything that you need to know from the very basics. If you enjoy this content, please help me with your like, with your comments, and by sharing this video with your friends. You can also follow me in one of my social media platforms or by getting the merchandise of the channel. Thank you.